TRUTALK, brought to you by Truland Equipment. Join us as we explore cutting-edge machinery, groundbreaking technology, and inspirational stories from the field.
From the dedicated efforts of our team members to the triumphs and challenges of our farmers, TRUTALK brings you along every step of the way.
Whether you're a seasoned agriculturalist or simply curious about the industry, tune in to discover the fascinating intersection of technology, agriculture, and green machines.
TRUTALK, cultivating true conversations. Welcome back to our next episode of TRUTALK. Today, joining myself, Jordan, we have Courtney. Courtney, say hey.
Hey, everyone.
Josh is back with us.
Hello.
And then our special guest today is Brian Spangler. Brian, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning. Great to be here. I've listened to your podcasts for the last few days, and you guys do an amazing job. I think your content has been well received. It's very educational, and I have learned a lot by listening and have been entertained along the way, too. So great job, all three of you.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. Is Brian cutting us a check for all the entertainment?
You better pay him for that one.
I was hoping that would work.
Just say it got lost in the mail. That happens a lot, I feel like, nowadays.
Snail mail.
Okay, Brian, you don't strike me as one that binge watches any Netflix episodes, but is this your version of binge listening TRUTALK?
Just wanted to get prepared. I tend to be an over-preparer and didn't want any surprises, and I'm pleased with what I heard, and this is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. Brian comes to us with a wealth of knowledge regarding sales. I feel like that's Brian's bread and butter. Would you agree?
I love sales. It is.
Takes a special person.
He's passionate about sales. I would agree with that.
Takes a special person to say they love sales, but yeah. Well, Brian, we know you very well, but our listeners might not know quite as much about you. So do you want to start off by introducing yourself, telling us your fun facts, your hobbies, and then a little bit about your experience and what makes you the sales guru today?
So thank you, Brian Spangler, Regional Sales Manager and Strategic Accounts for Truland Equipment. It's a fancy way to say that I work with a sales team in one of our 4 regions for Truland. We have North, South, Central, and West. So I work with the Central region, which covers Bluffton, Huntington, and Wabash. I also get pretty involved in our strategic accounts, which range from ag service providers with the commercial application equipment to governmental and some of the municipalities. I know quite a bit about sprayers, the governmental side. I'm still learning, and the neat thing about Truland is we have many folks that have done several jobs throughout their career, so rely heavily on some teammates, Gary Eshelman, Dave Blakey, Archbold and Fort Wayne, respectively, and Rob Hoover at Bluffton. So got a lot of things in the air, a lot of neat opportunities with both traditional customers and some of the customers that we don't often think about. So dual role, the sales regional role with those 3 locations I mentioned, working day to day with the sales guys and helping close deals. We work in partnership with the used equipment team, which is Roger Reinhardt and Chris Maxwell. And then we also work in tandem with Brian Geog, our large ag sales manager on the ag side, and then Rob Hoover and Gary Eshelman on the turf side, the sales management team there. So we each have a unique role with day-to-day versus some values on used equipment on the used side, and then the sales management team keeps us grounded with targets and some of the programs that John Deere brings our way for customers. So the strategic side with the commercial application equipment, with our former partnership with Indiana Spray Center, it became a natural to work in Ohio and Indiana with our application team, both on the sales side and the technician side as well. It's a partnership for sure. So that's what I do on a weekly basis in those areas of the dealership. Sales is a lot of fun. You meet fantastic people, and it's what drives me each day.
And that's your day-to-day today. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the past experiences that you've had? I know you mentioned Spray Center, so that's why.
Sure. Yep. So grew up on a farm in Allen County, Indiana, just outside of Fort Wayne. It was a medium-sized farm, probably 1,500 acres, and Worked through that through high school and through college. Went to Indiana University, got a degree in business. Ended up at a dealership in Fishers, selling turf equipment out of college, and then eventually weaved that through a family business and then into the spray center with 7 John Deere dealerships collectively. So a great example of how products have a life cycle. Business approaches have life cycles as well. So sprayers in 2004 were unique to the market, more so than tractors and combines. So we had a unique business approach, a separate company in Indiana that sold the commercial sprayers to both farmers and commercial applicators. Case, AgChem were in the business, and so John Deere got involved across the Midwest and North America with Spray Center, the Spray Center concept. So you fast forward 15 or 20 years, the sprayer, the market caught up with our business model. The sprayer no longer was a specialty product on the farm or the ag service retailer. It was part of their everyday business, so no longer needed a specialized enterprise because the product was no longer specialized. So that was a great time and met so many neat people throughout Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan through that venture. So very focused, high goals, and we had good success with many partners. From that, the Spray Center dissolved, and the individual owners of that took their section of the state of Indiana, and which translated into TTG and now TruLand today.
Yeah, and I obviously known you longer than anybody in the room, maybe not terribly long, but I guess there's a part of that history that I didn't even know about early on. But I know that you have, since I've known you, you've gone through 2 mergers, I believe, as have I. Probably that's all the mergers you've gone through, I think, and everybody in this room has gone through at least one merger. When you think about that and think about where we are today, what do you like about our position as TruLand Equipment and what we can bring to the customers, the way we're situated?
Yeah, great segue, Josh. And the thing about a merger is there's always going to be more than meets the eye. And so from a customer perspective, as long as things become better for them, not just bigger, but better, it is a win for the customer. And we have to work each day to make sure we're showing that value and not just being bigger for the sake of being bigger. The alternative of not merging and growing is status quo, and we know that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward because nothing stays the same. And so the alternative of not growing and not merging is an alternative, but it doesn't have a great ending that a merger would, or an acquisition, whatever the case is, with different prospective dealerships and colors. So it is a daily chore and mission that each of us have at the dealership to make sure that customers, number one, feel that and believe and see the results of the synergies and economies of scale and things we can do collectively, whether it be 2 dealerships coming together or 3 or 4, whatever the case may be, in different areas of the country. But each customer has to see additional value to their specific operation. So we cover many segments of customers: large producers, ag service providers, municipalities. We've talked about those a little already, but the consumer in turf equipment and the parts, non-John Deere parts that we sell. Everyone needs to see something that benefit to them, or the merger wasn't a success. The way that large companies, whether it be co-ops, whether it be equipment manufacturers, whoever it is, they have their vision to where fewer ownership groups is the direction that they are going, and so we have to adapt and adjust to make sure that we align with that culturally and also from a business perspective, so we can accumulate more customers, more market share, and translate that into profitability for our customers. Yeah, mergers are always tricky because you've got 2 ways of doing things or 3 ways of doing things depending on the number of players, and you have to pick the best of those, and maybe the best doesn't exist, and you create something because nobody had a process. I remember some of the early videos that TruLand did with our merger with our CEO and COO Jameson and Tom, and they talked about that option A, option B, and maybe there's option C, which is new. And so we have to be open to that and new ideas. And then the other thing in the ag industry, it's an aging workforce. And I used to be the young kid and enjoyed that. And now I've more in the middle, perhaps. That's arguably, I'm sure you could put that. But we have to have both the young energy and ideas that are coming through the universities and coming through new ways of doing things and communicating. And then we also need to leverage the experience that we have and just the roads that we've been down before.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And if you're in the middle, I'm in the middle with you. Obviously, we're similar in age, but I would say how you describe that and your kind of views on the merger and the position it puts us in also kind of leads to the position you're in as far as your leadership with some of these salesmen, some younger, some older, right? But it allows you to kind of help lead them into those directions as well.
Yes, and the way that you think. So each day we learn something. Everybody learns, right? And so each day, whether it be putting a deal together or an approach with customers, you don't buy like you sell. I've said that for years. And so just the way that I may want to purchase something as a consumer, the next customer I work with may have something totally different in their dashboard that they want to see or how they want to communicate. And so learning not only the customer piece, but the generation piece is so true today. And that's increasing at an increasing rate with the vastness of how people want to communicate and then reading that and adjusting our style so we can be a provider, as our slogan says, to them and adjusting our approach based on the customer and the segment that we're working with. Have seen a tremendous shift in the generational customers we work with, where dads and moms are handing the baton to the next generation. We've seen a shift in expectations there that we have to adapt to and accommodate that and find ways to make it a win for John Deere, win for the customer, and win for our dealership. And when we do that, it's a lot of fun. And we've seen publications where many customers think for them to win, someone else has to lose. And as a dealership, we can think that as well. If I get super competitive on a deal, I'm not satisfied until I feel someone has lost. And that couldn't be further from the truth. When we both win, that's what's sustainable, and that's a true partnership.
I'm going to keep going. I'm fascinated by where you're taking us here, but you brought up the generational thing, which we talk about a lot, I think, across, in sales meetings and across the company. Whereas, grandpas and moms and dads maybe had a little more loyalty and I think this newer generation is maybe a more informed buyer, right? They have things in their hands like cell phones and YouTube videos and can
information to the max,
absolutely
available
absolutely.
at our fingertips.
Right. So it does take a different strategy maybe to deal with some of these up and coming young buyers per se.
Yes, and so those young buyers want to deal with people like them. They want to deal, for the most part, so like mine, deal with like mine. So we need the fresh thinking in our dealership so we can connect with the next generation on the farm. And again, as I said earlier, coupling that with the experience that we have with some of our seasoned and experienced folks, whether it be on the finance side or the sales side, service, integrated solutions, all parts of the dealership. If we don't meet them where they are, someone else will, and we have to be cognizant of that each day. And I feel John Deere as a partner supplier does a great job of that as well, and they lead in many ways in that. And I mean, it's been said that John Deere is a tech company that sells equipment. I don't subscribe to that. I know that sounds good in the world, but our machines, our paint, and our wheels, our tires, our engines, that's at the core, and that's what farming is. That's what construction equipment is. That's what lawnmowers are, and turf equipment. Yes, we have to have the property center and the operations center and all those things to help our customers be efficient and in tune with what they purchase. But at the end of the day, if we don't have the equipment going out the door as the basis to put the technology on, we're going to miss it. So I'm a firm believer in that. And I know I'm sitting in a room with three talented IS people.
Technology
so I
people.
got to hold my ground.
Well, we I always said that too. It still funnels down to steel and green paint and yellow paint in the construction area for sure.
I mean, there's still plenty of technology even when it comes to construction. Obviously, we deal mostly with our large ag customers, and that's our primary focus as a department. But there's still plenty of available technology in all facets. I mean, how many gators do we have auto track going on?
Sure.
And then you add to that, we're going to be talking lawn and garden equipment, and some of the small and mid-sized tractors are now getting displays and technology options in that regard. So
there are technology divisions in the construction side too.
Plenty. Yeah.
Customers have come to expect it as well. Consumers, when you think about cars that drive themselves in whatever part of the country you go to, it's not a surprise today like it was 5 years ago when you talk to people about what our technology does. Yeah, I've heard of that. Automobiles do some of those things, and airplanes do some of those things, and I can see where, yeah, it's fascinating, but it's not the awe that it was 5 years ago or 3 years ago, just because of how fast our world is changing. And so obviously John Deere is the leader in that, bar none, which is where the brand of we are a technology company that comes to front of mind. But at the end of the day, if you drive a Ford, Chevy, or Dodge truck, or whether you drive a John Deere AgChem or Case sprayer, they're all good machines. Let's face it, they all produce and accomplish the same task. The difference is what is left behind, what is left remote, what is left from far away to manage and scale those functions and those tasks. And John Deere by far has proven time and time again that they lead in that. And that's what's going to sustain the people that we work with and the customers each day, because they expect that. And I'm so thankful that Deere has seen that and saw it decades ago to make sure that they're paving the way and working on things today that are unbelievable if we would talk about it.
I think that's a good lead in to, you've kind of covered some of this, but just thinking about our customers and your salespeople, what do you think all encompassing our customers want from their salesman at this point?
So someone they trust, for sure. So you think about, I've said this many times as well, each person that sells for our company should buy something of significance every 6 months, whether it be an automobile, whether it be a boat, a house, a piece of land, maybe even as small as a something that you can turn. The point is, how do you want to be treated when you're making that transaction? Who do you trust? Why do you trust them? How do you communicate? What takes place after the sale? And so as account managers, as we call them, so it's a fancy word for a salesperson, but they're more than a salesperson. They're all encompassing of an account. So if that a customer, whether it be the CEO of the cooperative, or whether it be the president of the farm, or just it's a mom and pop operation, and what is it that they need, and how do they get that, and then what are we doing as an account manager to make sure that those needs, whether it be part sales, service, we don't see any gaps, and if we do, that we're able to communicate that quickly with the respective leadership and stakeholders in those departments, so the problem can be corrected. And many times problems create opportunities. And so we're able to take what is perceived as, I think at the call center, for example, as we've migrated away from individual cell phones with IS people to a call center concept, it's change. And initially, I'm not calling the person that I know and trust, but if I trust a person to say, try the call center, give it a try, and see how it works, let me know what you think and how that translates. Okay, I'll try it because I trust you. And then once they've had a positive experience, then we can move towards that type of support, which is so much more efficient than doing it one to one. So the account manager is overseeing that along with the sale, just to make sure the customer is trusting and getting what they need. We have customers that are some of the greatest people in the world when it comes to producing crops or mowing landscapes or some of the small construction that we work in, the turf equipment, homeowners as well. Those four segments, our competition wants our customers. And if we're not very cognizant of that every day and know that we have to earn it each day, by the way we communicate, by the way we listen, and then solve problems. And again, one of the neatest things about problems is it creates opportunities to show what you're capable of that you may not have thought about.
Yeah, I think one of the common themes, I mean, you talk sales from TruLand's perspective, from a John Deere perspective, whatever the case may be, I mean, intentionality is kind of what you're talking about. And I think that obviously, like you said, drives customer satisfaction, customer retention. But being intentional for customers that might not be aware of our products or services, how do you kind of combat some of those challenges, or how do you lead your team to combat some of those challenges?
You guys touched on it. Yeah, you guys touched on it a couple minutes ago, that the information, as we know, is right at our fingertips. We were on a webinar this week that your team put on with cameras, and all of us have cameras, and to think our survival without a camera, whether it be social posts or details, data that we want to save or capture instead of writing it down, whatever the case may be. Customers are so informed today, and this is not new. We've seen this over the last few years with the information that the manufacturer or our company puts out to educate. And so as a John Deere salesperson, we have over 500 products that we represent, and to know the depth of what is needed with the information that a customer has on the one product or two products that they're interested in, we have to be very, very versatile and open-minded to how we keep up with them. And many times when a customer comes to us with questions that they've researched, we're a little behind. We are playing catch up at that point because they're obviously researched that one product. And so our goal as an account manager is to know the operation fully, know the operation so we can anticipate what we offer that they're going to need, and present that need before they even realize they need it. Now that is a delicate task to make happen. It takes experience and a lot of listening throughout the sales process. But information, you can use that as your friend and you can use it as your enemy in the sales world, and we try to embrace that and anticipate what is coming and communicate well internally.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you're talking a lot about this from a sales perspective, but a lot of this just has to do with a common business perspective. I mean, we are just talking about human-to-human interaction here.
It's still a people business, and you want to think that maybe it's not a people business, as those up and coming buyers have the cell phone in their hands that maybe pull them away from the store. And it is obviously a technology business, and you got to know your product. But there's still a balance there, isn't there, between the sales person and their relationship and the knowledge of the product?
Yep. So the information they receive online through their streams, that's just it. It's information. Our job is to translate the information to a relationship which is sustainable and tailorable to their farm. We know the internet doesn't know with AI that it can know, artificial intelligence it can know, but for the most part we know their operation better than what a statistic is going to know or what data is going to show. And so if you can balance our history with them, not only the account manager, think of the account manager as like a quarterback on a football team. And so you've got a running back, you've got a line that blocks, you've got receivers, you've got coaches on the sideline, you've got the guys in the press box that are seeing the entire field. The quarterback is making sure that the customer is getting the things that they need. Not only online, they get that themselves, but then how do we translate that into parts, service, IT to make sure that we may not sell them a new piece of equipment this year or next, but there are so many options such as precision upgrade kits that we're working hard to see. A customer may not be ready to update the entire machine, but part of the technology they're looking for can be affordable through an upgrade versus an entire fleet change. So we have to see that not only sales but also parts, service, integrated solutions, is being part of their operation.
Yeah, because the buck doesn't stop there, and you know that. I think some people don't realize that they see you. Okay, you're going to sell a product and that's it. No, we do have a support team behind us, right? With the sales department, the parts department, again, us in the integrated solutions department to continue to make sure things are working well and that they have the. You talked about the product upgrades, the access to upgrades, technology upgrades, education, and things like that far beyond the sale.
Which I think it's something that's commonly missed out on, or it's not revealed frequently to our customers, but the relationship between the integrated solutions department and the sales department. So our job is to work directly with our account managers to ensure that they're supported through every process of every customer interaction. So whether it be prepping for a conversation, talking about, proposing a upgrade maybe, or supporting existing technology on their farm. I mean, our entire job, just like we have our techs out in the shop, that their entire job is to keep their wheels turning and their tractors operational. Our entire job is to do that same thing from a technology perspective. And I know that there's been multiple customers that have said, the reason that they buy from one location or one account manager or one dealership in specific is because of the shop and the service that they've received from that. I think that integrated solutions is just going to become a part of that in the future.
Speaks to the quarterback concept. So many times a customer may, yeah, Mr. Salesman or Mr. Account Manager, I trust you, but I want a second opinion. You're wanting to sell me something here, and I'm trying to get past that. I want to know what does Jordan think, or what does Chad think, what does Josh think, depending who I work with closely, and they can give me a perspective when they're not selling. I think about an independent consultant in the ag industry, crop consultants and things who don't sell products. They seem to be the expert at points, and so Jordan, to what you're saying is exactly right. Whether it be that a technician or a parts guy at the counter, you're not selling me something. I want to just verify, and to have that team of a cross section of guys, gals, old, young, experienced, inexperienced, techie, non-techie, the gamut of on our team to be able to meet a specific customer with the questions, not only their operation, but then they have different opinions within each operation. We talked about the next generation and the next generation after that. So grandkids are coming into the operation now. So 15, 18 years old. We were in a meeting yesterday and had some young men in the meeting that are in that age range, and it's so cool to have that awareness and educating so young and starting just excited for what the future is on a dynamic like that.
So the way that you're talking, I think that you come from both a leadership and a boots on the ground perspective. I mean, you have experience in both, but speaking as a leader, you're talking about, with the exception of aftermarket, so service and parts, you're talking about these multitude of, I would say, large challenges that are facing account managers and your team, the people that you are there to support. So we're talking, the cyclical nature of weather, which obviously has not been great this year. We're still waiting to see what may come of that. And obviously, knock on wood, we all hope it's for the best. But who knows what the rest of the summer and early fall will bring. And then commodity prices. Also, we've seen better. I've seen better for sure. And then you're talking about a whole new generation and changing sales approaches and sales styles. I mean, those are huge challenges. So how do you plan to keep sentiment high and keep the TruLand ball rolling for all of our account managers?
So doing this talk today is so much more encouraging than a week ago, because we've had in some cases 2.5 inches of rain on the ground. In other areas we've had a half inch, and I would say in the entire breadth of our trade area, at least everybody has got some form of rain. And so that is obviously huge. A guy last night told me it was $1 million rain. We've heard that before, and so the piece that is probably most challenging for the account manager is to keep optimism real. And so it's easy to be just a happy person and find things that are just fun to talk about and try to be positive. But when I say emotion, positive, that's real, is there are so many things we have, so many levers, so many tools that we have available to us, starting with John Deere as a leader in technology and the producer of the best equipment in the world, bar none. And I don't care if you're in a third world country or if you're in the United States of America, it is the leader, and top to bottom, it is the leader with value. We as account managers, the guys and gals I work with, have a lot of tools in their toolbox to make sure that optimism can be real, and we can show customers, even though it is dry, even though commodity prices are tough. We haven't even talked about John Deere Financial yet, with the resources that we have available there, and the partnership we have with Deere Financial to make things happen when budgets are tight and things get throttled there. But continue to be the optimism for the farmer, for the ag retailer, for the landscaper and the small construction customer that we work with. Customers need that. We as people need to feed off of each other, and to know that, I've had a tough morning, I've had a tough week, based not only economically or from a weather pattern, but life happens too. And so we provide them with many reasons to continue to build their business. And over my career, as I've looked back on some of the guys and gals that have had the most success in the dealership role, were the people that could take a customer mindset of doom and gloom or negativity or just, boy, things are tough right now. And again, it has to be real. It has to be legitimate, to where an account manager or a salesperson could take the current situation and show the customer, whatever segment they're in, how it's going to be okay, how we're here to help them, how you may not know all the answers today, but here's what we do know. And so continuing our account managers to continue to build that optimism in our customers, so they can then share that with their team at their customer level, or other teammates and departments within the dealership. And I think it starts with the account manager.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is just managing the uncertainty. Ag is very much, we've spoken a lot about other industries, even homeowners, which even that is unpredictable. My AC just went out last week, which that was not fun. That was very unpredictable, let me tell you. Yeah, it was not great. But yeah, ag is very unpredictable. So I think that is one big thing. And talking about the new generation that's coming up, I do think that is, I feel like I am that young generation, and I feel like we kind of get dogged on a little bit for having a different approach to buying and purchasing decisions and loyalty. I think those are two big things that are very different. But I think we have a good sentiment. We're excited to.
I'd like to know who's dogging on you, because I think you are very patient with us and help us get through some challenges that take us way too long.
Maybe not us specifically, but just as a generation across the board, across all industries.
And challenging new challenges isn't really a bad thing. I feel like people in our age range probably do a pretty good job of utilizing the technology we have too.
I would
don't buy
second
anything
that
without researching it, up, down, sideways on my cell phone too. So, but I think loyalty can be a little more challenging. You have generations and generations of families that bought from the same John Deere dealership, and maybe that there is a break in that loyalty. That's very likely, and that's up to our company and us to find ways to attack that challenge. And
a lot of that has to do with farming practices. I mean, with this new generation, there are some big out there ideas that are catching a lot of attention very quickly. And I mean, spray drones, for example, obviously that's taking an operation in a different direction, which might be further from the John Deere point of view, because we obviously don't offer that solution. But at this moment in time, which who knows what we're going to talk about, and who knows what we're going to talk about in the future. We could be doing this in a couple years and have a complete different outlook on that.
Maybe a John Deere drone.
They did do snowmobiles, so anything's possible. After
true.
That, anything is possible. Yeah, I just think that. Yeah, but you have those new ideas that are catching on very quickly. So yeah,
I gotta make comment. This is not a video podcast, but Brian, you love sales. And I'm getting a kick out of some of these questions. You can just see his face light up when you ask him these questions. What is it about the sales and the sales process that gets you excited and interested? And it's so clear to see.
Yeah, one of my hobbies is during COVID, I was able to do some broadcasting of basketball. I love sports, anything with a ball, and I'm pretty competitive when it comes to that. And so when COVID was in our midst, the high schools were shut down to where only one or two parents could attend a game. And so at our local high school, we were able to get a live feed and then roll it through Facebook. And I was able to put a headset on for the first time in my life and actually do some play-by-play. So I'm an Indiana Hoosier fanatic from the 70s and 80s and the glory days. And so Don Fisher was a hero of mine. And so I just took some of his sayings and mannerisms and translated that. And translate. A lot of people thought I made it up on my own, but I didn't. And
he's still going.
And so I'd say, Jordan, and Josh, your question, the competitive side is I hate to lose, and so whether that can be misconstrued. So I hate to lose. That means I want to win at all costs, and that's where the analogy breaks down a little bit. I talked earlier that it's a win-win. So I love to win as much perhaps as I hate to lose. So coupled to that is when you can see a customer win, when you can see a customer go from there's no way I'm doing that, and they have this look on their face that says you're crazy. I love the example of 1999, 2000, when AutoTrack was first coming, and a customer was going to spend $15,000 to outfit his 20 series tractor with a valve and then the hardware that he needed. And there's no way you're crazy that I would ever do that. And obviously you roll the clock forward 25 years and everybody has done it. And so it's just the transfer. Sales is a transfer of emotion for sure, but the idea of sharing a concept that works not only in the classroom, but will work for the farmer, and the fact that the process of sharing where that is, and then the challenges along the way are a lot of fun as well. I think about a basketball analogy. You got to put the full court press on to get the team jarred, to get the energy back, and sometimes customers, I've said we got to put the full court press on the customer because they're not seeing the value that we can offer them, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and there's such a fine line between being pushy and being persistent, and that's a line I've hate to say I've crossed a couple times when I wish I wouldn't have, and I've learned from that. So, but just the transfer of watching a customer not really know exactly what they can benefit from a transaction or a product or a service, whatever the case may be, and I get the same charge whether it's a X series lawnmower, whether it's a Hagie sprayer. I mean, it's because it's that transferring of value that and you believe in, and watching a customer smile and take delivery of it, and then be productive with whatever piece of equipment it is.
Well, I just want to rewind a little bit here. You said you hate losing, but yet you're an IU basketball fan. So that's just my snarky comment for the episode. I have to get it in.
And my daughter attends Purdue University. So what does that say about all this? So
well, you're gonna slowly transition, but anyways, Josh.
Once you're in the room with three Purdue grads, but yeah, we can't not go there, can we? But I think I like to use the word victory. We all love a victory in this business. It could be a technician who does the great repair job and knows that it worked for the customer. From an agronomic standpoint, there's nothing better than making a recommendation and seeing at the end of the year that it worked and it paid off, and we had a yield boost. So I think we all thrive on those. What like I said, I like to use the word victories when what we do works and we're satisfied, our customer's satisfied, and it's that win-win, like you said.
Well, I think a big thing is being a cheerleader for others in their victories, and Josh is notorious for this. He'll hear me pick up an Expert Connect call, and I'll say, "Oh, this is it. You need to do this," or whatever. And Josh will call me immediately and say, "How did you know that? When did you learn that? What caused you to learn that?" So I think that's a big factor in why we do what we do and continuing to learn, and it's just, people cheering us on, which I think our entire dealership is great about that. And we have people from leadership that, are our cheerleaders, and we have our peers and coworkers all across the board. So
we've got a good team. We talk a lot about our team in our department.
We love our jobs.
You guys have got a really good team too.
Yeah, I mentioned Central Regions is where I serve with the team, and it's very rewarding each day because there's a vast variety of personalities and approaches, but everybody is enthused for the most part. We all have our days, but by and large, I can say everybody is enthused and wants to win, which translates to the best interest of the customer, and that's exciting to be part of. And to take it back to the sports analogy, so I'm approaching 30 years in the sales business with John Deere, of various equipment. The thing that I learned early on, I mean, I wasn't a Purdue guy, and I would say I'm a Purdue University Ag School of Business enthusiast, because that is so many people that I've worked with for many years have went through that school, and there's just so many things that Purdue, Ohio State, Michigan State, whatever your school choice is, that they do well, and that the point is to embrace what's happening around you. And so I quickly learned that customers had a lot invested there, and there were so many things that a university offered. Obviously, it doesn't always work in the classroom like the textbook says, but just being aware and we call that social intelligence from time to time, being aware of what's around you and making sure that I'm not pulling into a driveway with an IU plate on the front of my truck. And actually that was actually a sales topic we had many years ago. If it doesn't enhance the sale, why do it? And that could be said for Purdue as well, that we may not have that on the front of our truck if we have personal vehicles with our sales arena, because you want to make sure that you connect with the customer best you can. There's so many things you're not going to be aware of, so try to control the things you can. But I just want to say for the record that I've come to really appreciate Purdue over time, but on the hardwood, it's still in Bloomington.
It's pretty good words. I don't know.
We'll let that one slide, I suppose.
No,
I'm sorry.
this has been obviously great, informative. We always enjoy picking your brain, and we're going to have to wrap this up, unfortunately, I think.
Well, actually, I did say that this is a hard year weather-wise, and Brian mentioned that we had $1 million rain that just came through. Josh, you want to talk to us about what's happening before and what's happening after the rain? Kind of give us a agronomy update, outlook.
Definitely have some notes. So $1 million rain for sure. We were, as we've talked about in previous podcasts, we had some less than ideal planting conditions to plant in. So unfortunately, we were coming out of that wetter spring, we hit a pretty hot spell early on in the season. We know plants don't like 90-degree weather, and we had 90-degree weather. So that rain definitely was well-received rain, perked up a lot of fields, perked up a lot of people as well. So for sure, we're moving along, heading into that rapid growth stage. And if you look at our True Source article, you'll see a couple tidbits that Courtney and I put in there about some Japanese beetles and things like that. The Japanese beetles are alive and well. I don't know if you've noticed that, Jordan, but they're all over the place early.
Thankfully, I have a cornfield behind my house this year, so
that keeps them in the field and not in your yard or
Yeah, they're just a little bit preoccupied behind my house. I will say the field behind my house has an irrigator on it. Okay. And so they turned it on. I bet, when did we get a big rain? Saturday. I bet they had that on for 3-4 days leading up to it. Yeah. And it did not make a dent compared to that rain that we got. Right. I mean, it was still rolling midday, earlier in the morning, even over the weekend. And
the temperature drops help that too. You know, rolling is a defense mechanism, right? It's not always a bad thing, but
but now it looks beautiful.
It's unbelievable. And like I said, we've gotten some moderate temperatures, which is good. Plants would be happy if it was 75 degrees and sunny all summer. And that's not
so would I.
Right. Yeah, me too. But no, we're good. You know, obviously, when this podcast hits the air, wheat harvest will be well wrapped up. It was an early wheat harvest this year, so we're in pretty good position to get double crop beans out and get them started, and that rain was going to help there as well. So there's a lot going on this time of year, that's for sure.
So just on a personal note, or a personal question for Brian, you have your pilot's license and you get to be in a plane.
How would you know that, Jordan?
I have no idea. I stalked you on Facebook one time. No, I'm just kidding. But do you ever do any crop scouting from the plane?
Yeah, so my dad, my father-in-law, each on a single engine airplane, and I do have a pilot's license, currently not current, so I just want to be fair with that. I do fly with them occasionally, and it's a lot of fun. Crop scouting is why they say they have the planes, maybe a write-off as well, part of that is the farm. But yeah, there's just no view like there is from the sky, and you can see so much at once, and obviously with drones and things today, we have other ways to do that, but yeah, very, very fun being at 2,000 feet, seeing what's going on, and tile lines and drowned out spots and stuff you'd never see from the road. And when the corn gets knee high, so many mistakes are masked until the combine goes through and that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Good deal. You'll have to report back to us at later in summer, give us a tassel pollination update, and yeah.
Have you ever been in a small plane or anything that you want to share about?
Unfortunately, yes, but I digress. Let's
not go there.
That's not an experience I think that I will personally want to have anytime soon. Yeah. I will say, though, that I'd rather do that than a helicopter, so
Okay.
yeah, the helicopter is...
Neither.
Josh says neither. Courtney?
Nope, my feet stay on the ground.
You work in Woodburn. That's where everybody flies.
Yeah, my feet just stay on the ground.
Okay.
I don't like heights.
So I started with thanking you guys for this podcast, True Land podcast that is amazing. I don't say that lightly, and I think that looking forward to more people that you get on this within our company and to hear their vantage point and their perspective. And Courtney, Josh, Jordan, thank you so much for making this happen and pioneering this for our company and giving our customers great insight.
Appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't be more thankful for all of our guests and for you taking time out of your busy schedule to come spend a morning with us chatting about what you do day to day, even though it sounds like you thoroughly enjoyed it with your broadcasting experience. But, well, look forward to hearing Brian's episode and putting that out there. And then we also look forward to all the future episodes of True Talk, which you can find on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So be sure to follow, and tune in for our next episode. Thanks.
See you next time.
See you later.